Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Weingarten, are you a medical doctor?
I am not.
Are you a mother?
I am a mother by marriage.
By marriage, I see.
And my wife is here with me, so I'm really glad that she's here. Sharon Klein.
Ms. Weingarten, and you haven't taught school since the 90s, so you're not a teacher anymore.
I am actually, Representative, I'm actually on leave from my teaching position, and this fall I will be teaching as a guest teacher at Cornell, my alma mater.
When was the last year you taught? 1997, is that correct?
The last time I taught a full class was June 1997.
Okay, that's been quite a long time, approximately 26 years ago. Do you believe in the First Amendment, Ms. Weingarten?
I believe in the Constitution, including the First Amendment, of course.
Oh, great. Well, I'd like to remind you of one of your tweets here where you agreed that my suspension on Twitter, in your own words, politicians shouldn't be exempt from standards about spreading misinformation. Greene has repeatedly shown reckless disregard for those standards. This suspension is justified. This is your tweet. Just last year, January 2nd, 2022, I was suspended for my statements about COVID-19 as a member of Congress, by the way. And also, I'd like to point out by the emojis by your name here, it looks like you're more of a political activist than anything. Clearly, unfortunately, you think Ukraine comes before the United States. I'm not sure what the black flex is. I mean, is that digital blackface? But congratulations on graduating from school. But I'd like to
No, it is about honoring black
Ms. Weingarten, I reclaim my time. I didn't ask you a question.
Sorry.
What I'd like to talk about is your recommendations to the CDC as not a medical doctor, not a biological mother, and really not a teacher either. So what you did is you advised the CDC.
Mr. Chairman, that's a
excuse me, this is my time. You advised the CDC to have schools provide remote work, options for staff that have documented high-risk conditions who are increased risk for severe illness from COVID-19 to limit the risk of workplace exposure, telework, virtual teaching opportunities, modified job responsibilities, environmental modifications, scheduling flexibility, temporary reassignments to different job responsibilities. None of your advice had to do with to stop the spread of COVID-19. It was all about teachers staying home. And there was big results of that. Let me tell you, I am a mother, and all three of my children were directly affected by the school closures, by your recommendations, which is something that you really can't understand. I'd like to point out, let's talk about the real effects of this. Obviously, we know the test results. Oh, and by the way, you celebrating what I had said on Twitter, I had said that children should be in school. I had said the truth, that children were not dying at high rates of COVID-19 like older people were. I had also advocated for our children, not for teachers getting to stay home and kids being forced into virtual schooling. I advocated for the safety of our children and for their education. But you, as a political activist, for the president of the teachers union, we're not advocating for anything good for our kids. And our kids have suffered greatly. As a matter of fact, suicides increased. Their rates of learning went down. And you know what else happened to them? Anxiety, depression, all kinds of problems happened to kids. And then ironically, here's something that was shocking to me. And I'll bring this up to you. You know what else happened? While kids were forced to stay home, and you approve of this, the diagnosis of youths with gender dysphoria surged. This is literally 2020, but yet this is 2021. And this is a problem. This is a major problem. And the direct effect of school closures can be seen here. These are diagnoses of gender dysphoria. And you can see it sharply increased after 20 and 21. It went up. The rates went up. So kids were forced to stay home into so-called virtual learning, where they were spending a lot of time on social media, and all of a sudden we see a direct result of this. And this is a major problem. But the other problem is you had no business advising the CDC what the medical guidelines were for school closures, because now we have a nation of school children who have suffered because of it. The problem is people like you need to admit that you're just a political activist, not a teacher, not a mother, and not a medical doctor.
Gentlelady's time is recognized. Chairman Gomer of the full committee for his minutes of questions.
Thank you. On February 12, 2021, the Biden administration released its first school reopening guidance, which frankly might be better described as school closing guidance, since it recommended keeping 90% of America's schools closed. Documents and testimony gathered by this committee show the CDC and AFT, American Federation of Teachers, worked closely on this guidance. Some of AFT's suggestions were included nearly word for word by Director Walensky herself. In a transcribed interview, a career CDC official testified that this level of coordination was, quote, uncommon, end quote. That's what we're here to find out, as the chairman said. Why did the AFT get uncommon access to the CDC and the Biden administration? According to documents we reviewed, AFT first received a copy of the draft reopening guidance on January 27, 2021. Is that correct?
No.
Do you know when you first got a copy of the guidance?
According to the documents that we sent to you, what we believe is that we got the guidance from NIOSH and the draft guidance from NIOSH, which is a committee within the CDC, as well as the CDC themselves, after the conversation we had on January 29th.
What's it called? NIOSH is part of the CDC.
Correct.
Right.
We got, I think you're looking at a document. Can I see the document?
Well, we'll get them to you. The draft guidance. No, listen, I'm talking. I'm not. This is. I run a committee too.
Sorry.
We're trying to work together. We have 5 minutes, so we're trying to get this, get as much out as we can. This is very important. I have kids in the public school system, in a school system that was shut down longer than average in the state of Kentucky, and it's bad. Parents are mad. Our kids are behind. We're trying to find answers. We want to prevent the problem in the future. The draft guidance is marked pre-decisional and says please do not distribute, yet it was provided anyway. Now, do you know if any other groups the CDC consulted with received a copy of this guidance at the time?
I have no idea.
Do you know when the guidance was finally published?
I believe the guidance was published on February 12th.
When asked, is it common to send deliberative or pre-decisional guidances outside of the government to CDC partners? A career CDC scientist responded, we may send summaries like the day before we were going to release something. But the American Federation of Teachers got a full document, and you got it 2 weeks before, according to our record. And
do you want me to respond, sir, or no?
I'll ask a question. Did AFT provide any draft language to the CDC for inclusion into this guidance before it was published?
So we had the meeting with the CDC on January 29th. My recollection is that we got a draft of the guidance after that, even though I think the document that you're reading has another date on it.
Is it common for outside groups to send draft language to the CDC?
What we did was we went through the areas that we raised because the presumption was how do we reopen and keep schools open, and we talked about issues of immunocompromised adults, and the CDC
did the CDC accept any of the edits you all proposed?
The CDC asked for language on that, which we provided. So that one piece of language. So they asked us for language on immunocompromised workers, and we presented that language to them.
So when we were, during the interview with the CDC career employee, it was asked if between 2001 and 2021, had he ever incorporated edits or additions that came from an outside group, and the career scientist responded, I don't remember any assistance. So to summarize, AFT was provided with a full draft copy of the guidance 2 weeks before publication, suggested line-by-line edits.
No, we did not, sir. We did not suggest line-by-line edits to the document.
Well, do you remember how many edits that you suggested?
We suggested concepts, sir, which we have submitted as part of the document request you asked. We suggested concepts, including robust testing.
Do you know how many edits were included?
One.
Do you remember what that edit was?
The reasonable accommodation issue. And then, in addition, about a week later, when we were going back and forth with all of the groups, there were several other meetings with different groups and things like that. You saw, and the chairman just said this, the issue about having a review if there was a new variant. We had seen someone had leaked language to either the New York Times or the Washington Post, and so that's when we suggested that if there's a new variant, there should be a review. And there were variants, my recollection is there were variants at that time. So those were the two things that we suggested in the 38 pages that showed up in the guidance.
Well, I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman, and say that it's unusual for political union to have such a role in scientific guidance process, and hopefully we can find more answers in this hearing.
feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine.